All right, y'all. Oh my. Sorry, I fell out during episode 8 this week of Love is Blind, season 10. We're in week 2. Episode 7, 8, and 9 we're about to get into, and I have so many thoughts, but let me get myself together because I'm feeling a little angry. Just a little angry, just a tad. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review for week 2 of Love is Blind season 10. We're in Ohio, and I'm not doing that chant, even though the Lacheys tried it again this week. But guys, this season hasn't been like the greatest in terms of week 1. Sure, episodes 5 and 6 were pretty good in week 1. But if y'all wanted mess, you will get mess this week. Now, if you missed it, my week 1 recap is live on the channel. And if it is your first time here, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and yes, Love is Blind. So if you want to stay locked in with me, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, like this video, and get loud in the comments and let me know who is the most frustrating contestant during week 2. I've got 2 top candidates, okay? Both are trash, both of them. One of them in particular, I just couldn't believe they said what they said on national television, but we're in 2026. Nothing should surprise me anymore. So, y'all, we're going to get started with episode 7, 8, and 9. But before we get into that, of course, there's a little spoiler-free section I always do, right? So if you haven't watched it, it's okay. You can watch this section and then save the video to your watch later list. But, guys, this week gave everybody the mess they wanted from week 1. Now, week 1 was tame for the most part, predictable, long pod moments, didn't love those. Mexico was okay, they banished Victor and Christine to Malibu, but it was a very interesting week 1 at the end. Now, week 2 took that momentum and magnified it. So this week was definitely one that gave us more surprises. It made me literally whip my head like that, and you saw how I fell out during the intro. Yeah, I almost did that on my sofa. Like, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I literally rewound the thing. I took my remote and said, let's go back 10 seconds, Netflix. What did that man just say? And then it gets even crazier in episode 9. Oh my gosh. We got to talk about it. Y'all, I have so many thoughts here in my head that I'd like to just give you now. So we're going to get right into my spoiler-filled recap section. So again, if you haven't watched week 2, do it, come back, and then we'll talk about it. But for those who have, get strapped in, get your popcorn ready. I tightened my office chair just for this recap because I knew I was going to probably be hanging on to the armrest out of frustration. So let's get started with episode 7. Now remember, we ended episode 6 with Brittany and Devontae having a conversation on the couch about how Brittany doesn't feel validated, and Devontae said, well, listen, I've got a lot going on too, girl. He doesn't say that. No, he does not say that. But what happens is they have a disagreement. So Brittany goes off camera and still is mic'd up, but tells the producers out of the room that Devontae should have just gone home after his grandparent died, and that it's not fair to her that he hasn't spoken with her in 2 days. Yikes on bikes, y'all. I know what she probably meant, but the way it came off felt a tad insincere. She probably meant, listen, why did he decide to continue with the experiment with me if he's still grieving? I get it, it's a lot, but I gave him an out and he decided to still come here and I feel invalidated. Much more, I guess, of a mature statement there versus her saying, that man should have just booked it. And as they're having their conversation, I felt like we were flies on a wall with these camera angles. The editor was going insane. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. But at least we heard Devontae said, listen, I'm going to stick up for myself. I feel like you're not understanding right now. And it's not like they were raising their voice at one another, but Brittany continues to push back and says, listen, I just don't know how you feel about me. And that I can understand because Devontae hasn't done much, it seems, to give her a sense of security. And just as I say that, Devontae says, listen, I feel like I am in a place where we can be married, and we can have kids together, but I'm not sure, homeboy. I just not sure. He did apologize to her, and I think that was sweet. But man, this isn't the last time we're going to have a conversation like this. Also, super side note, what in the world is the camera zooming in on in Brittany's hand? She's holding something. It looks like a big stick of Burt's Bees lip balm. Y'all know about Burt's Bees? It's very good. I have it. I have about the 4-pack. It's nice. So it's 21 days until weddings, you guys. They're now back in Ohio, and each couple is staying in their own apartment together. And the producers are messy because I know what they're doing now. They put Bree and Connor, then Chris and Jessica right after one another in the order of the apartments they're showing. Remember, Bree and Chris had that conversation poolside in week 1 in Mexico. Bree said, I could do a round 3. And Chris was like, I don't know. Do I like her or not? Spoiler, that man does. Now all the couples are calling their loved ones to give them the big news. Ashley and Alex call Ashley's friend Abby, and she says, we're engaged. And they're expecting a good response from Abby, but Abby clicks on him, hangs up the phone, and I just really hope Abby's at the friends meeting later on this week. That would be great. And then we see Ashley saging their apartment. And Alex said, get that out of here. And that is the best thing he's said all season long to this point. And the only thing that I'll ever agree with him on, which is saging, is for the wind. Ooh, I don't believe in it. What is it? It doesn't work. Instead, catch me anointing every room. Okay, moving on. Chris is making Jessica laugh quite a bit in their apartment, and they both seem to be in a very good place. But who cares about them right now? Let's get right back to Ashley and Alex. So Alex calls his mom Kristen, and that girl is perpetually driving big rigs across the world. Both Alex and his mom seem to be nomads. They love moving around. They're fluid. I don't see how that works out for Ashley, but only time will tell. Now, Alex's mom mentions she started a new job, but Alex didn't know this. I just wonder how long has it been since you last spoken to your mother? Hey, I don't know, man. The family dynamic is very interesting here, and I just don't know what to take from it. But Ashley said, and I quote, that your mom seems crazy. Here's the thing. Words matter. Words are very important, right? If you say your fiance's mother is crazy, I just don't know if that's the word you really were looking for, Ashley. Was it? And they continue to have a conversation together about where they're going to live. And I just think that this is going to be a deal breaker for both of them. Alex has a soccer contract in Florida. He talks about that later on this week. And Ashley just doesn't want to go to Florida. What do they have in Florida, she says, right? So it's just, I don't see it meshing together very well. But let's check in on Mike and Emma. Mike is now telling Emma, just get motivated, get clean, and get organized. The man is trying to do everything except for tell her what to do. He is encouraging her. Hey, maybe we should pick this up and put it over there. You got this. And at some point, Mike's just going to be like, Mamma Mia, clean up your room, please. He's one step away from a Mamma Mia, I'm telling you. And before we move on from them, Mike does mention that he's never lived with a woman before Emma. I have a funny feeling Mike was just going to wait until marriage to then move in with his wife, his partner. I could probably see that happening in the context of his family, which we get to meet later on in this week of episodes. Alrighty, so let's get in touch with Amber and Jordan. They're so interesting. Amber and Jordan are having a conversation on the couch, and the only takeaway from this conversation was the fact that Amber came up with a brand new word. Merriam-Webster dictionary. Please don't add this to your dictionary, but what is this? I'm going to need them to comment on this one. The word she said was reunitation. She meant reunion, but reunitation. What in the white nonsense is that? What? Alrighty, so let's check in on Bree and Connor, and they're speaking about how serious these next steps will be. Bree is in a perpetual state of being peeved by Connor this entire week, by the way, so her being peeved here in this moment is not the only time. So she is a little upset at Connor for not being very serious in a conversation they were having. I believe just before bedtime, Connor uses a swear word. Bree's like, what are we doing? Why are you swearing? And I agree. Why are you swearing? It doesn't add anything, right? Or we're just supposed to be sweet like honey. So I'm glad she corrected him on that. But Connor did apologize and say, dude, I'm so sorry. I should be a bit more serious when we're having these conversations. But Bree, are you going to get this flustered around Chris? Are you going to be more calm around Chris? I'm very curious to see that little reunion. So let's check in on Brittany and Devontae, and they're having a conversation before they go to bed as well. It seems like things are all okay in their land because Brittany says, I love how Christ-like you are, Devontae. And he's smiling, she's smiling. It seems like things are going well here. And I'm like, maybe they just needed one tough conversation in Cabo to sort of just break the ice here and get through it. So it's now 20 days until weddings, you guys, and it's time for our house tours. Y'all remember Room Raiders back in the day on MTV? This is like Room Raiders light. And, kind of wish that show was... Well, you know what? Honestly, it was good for its time. Anyway, let's move on. Amber and Jordan are doing their house tours first, and that stop they make initially is Jordan's townhouse. And boy, oh boy, is that a very Jordan-esque home. It's everything I expected from his house. But I did not expect this, guys. Jordan didn't throw away any food before he left for the pods, and oh my goodness, I've never seen a banana that's spoiled in my life. That banana done changed its entire orientation. It's not even a banana anymore. It morphed. It's an anamorph. You remember those books? I couldn't believe it. Oh, and on top of that, he's got some spoiled broccoli in the fridge, and I can just imagine the smell now. No amount of Lysol could ever take that smell away. Mamma mia. But Amber said, whatever, I'm a nurse, I've probably seen worse, and she lays in his bed after seeing his fridge and bathroom. Amber, you must trust this man very much. That's crazy. So they have a very boring conversation in Jordan's man cave shortly afterwards, and I was like, I don't care, because there's really nothing to glean from their conversation. But now we're going to go to Amber's house, and it is much cleaner. She bought her home and has been remodeling it for several years, and yeah, you can definitely tell. I thought she did a good job on the remodeling process, but she said she wants to stay in her house ideally and save money, because if they can save money, then they can buy a home, so on and so forth, and figure that out. And I kind of get it. Why would you pay rent if you got a place you own? You just pay a mortgage and that's it. It's equity, right? It's kind of cool. But the one thing that isn't cool, oh my gosh, shoes on a carpet floor? No. First of all, you take your shoes off at the front door and you get in your house shoes or house slippers. It depends on who you're talking to. But I got my house shoes. We're using them when we're walking around the house. We are not using no sneakers on the carpet, let alone the floor. Oh. Now let's check in on our normal couple, the golden couple, my favorite couple this season, Victor and Christine. Victor is meeting Christine's mother, Melody. And I'm going to be honest, Love is Blind producers, more of this type of segment, less of the other stuff. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This was the first time I felt a sense of genuine love from Love is Blind since, Brett and Tiffany and Lauren and Cameron. This was an incredible segment, you guys. Melody seems like such a sweetheart, to be honest with you. The hug she gave to Victor, you could tell was super sincere, and I just love them so much. They need to get married, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sincerely, everyone watching the show. This parent meeting, though, is very, very good. And what I love about it is that it seems incredibly genuine. There wasn't a sense of artificialness to it. I really liked everything that it delivered. Victor brings up that his father is also not in his life either, but that he forgives him. And we are called to forgive others as Christ forgave us. So that man is living out the gospel. I love it. Melody then tells Victor that I'm so grateful you came along. And the way she said it, it just melted my heart, y'all. I'm telling you. And then they prayed together before they left. Yes, Victor, lead them in prayer. I loved it. I thought it was such a good segment. It was very nice. They got to learn a little bit more about each other. And then Christine's mom, you can tell she really is rooting for her daughter. And I thought Melody was one of the best additions to this season. And then Melody in her testimony cracked me up and said, I thought Victor was gentle and I liked him. And I thought he was hot. I'm like, oh, Melody. Oh, wow. So we go from the most genuine moment to a series of moments that are not so great, but we'll talk about them and get through them together. So we go to Connor's house, and Connor tells Bree, I bought my home, and Bree, from the moment she steps in his house, has a comment for everything about this man's house. I will say, Connor's home is much better and put together than Jordan's, but Connor, you still got your Christmas tree up. This is crazy. Listen, Christmas is my favorite holiday. But my Christmas tree came down in January, so you can't really keep your stuff past then. That's insane, y'all. Bree keeps saying that Connor is living like a frat boy. He's a frat boy. And she just keeps saying that phrase. Literally, that's all we hear. That's all she brings up every time we see them from this point onward. So just keep track of how many times she says it. I just don't get that vibes from his home until they go outside and there's a keg in the backyard. That's giving frat house. A keg? Now, one of Connor's bedrooms they go into is a complete mess. Man, oh man. Like, y'all, I don't know. My OCD wouldn't allow it. Like, I'm cleaning every week. I'm going to be folding all the laundry the minute it comes out of the dryer. Do not play with me. Connor does reveal to Bree, I've already written my vows, and I thought that was pretty sweet. And then they juxtapose that moment with Connor's game room. But here's the thing, Connor. You know those little, like, cans of compressed air that you can use to, like, clean out dust, debris, and gunk from your keyboards and your mice? Listen, you might as well use it. I will send you a ton if you want them. But, like, his keyboards were disgusting. What? Do they not clean? What's going on with the guys this season? And it's at this point that Bree begins to completely drag Connor for his home as they're having a conversation. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little harsh. Yeah, Bree, you could have been a little kinder here. It does seem like maybe Connor just was used to living single and stuff. But I do not think that you should be living single to the point where you're, oh my gosh, your room is disgusting, your floors are gross. Like, don't do that. And then before the segment ends, Bree notices the lock on his door isn't very sturdy and he only uses the top lock. Connor says, of course it's sturdy and it's a safe neighborhood. That is a red flag in my mind. So she said, I'm going to test it out. She goes outside, Connor locks the top lock, and Bree goes to open the door with all her might, She-Hulk herself, and the entire lock begins to come off the actual, like, board around the door. Yeah, Connor, I think your experiment is a failure. So let's move on to our next family meeting, and that's Alex meeting Ashley's family. Now, this is the segment where I immediately came to the conclusion that Alex is trash. I'm sorry, listen, hey, guys, there are certain things that I can be like, reality TV, whatever, to be expected. But then when you start getting real, like you talk about real world stuff, and you trend in the direction that Alex is trending in, I mean no disrespect, but respectfully, he's got some bad opinions. Okay, so Ashley's dad immediately says, oh my gosh, I love you so much, when he sees Ashley, and I thought, so sweet. And it was downhill from there. Ashley's mom and brother are also at the dinner just for context, but Alex and Ashley's father are the only ones having the conversation here. Ashley's mom is staying quiet. Ashley's brother's staying quiet. Ashley hasn't said a single darn word here, and it's kind of weird. Alex does reveal he was physically abused by his stepdad, which is definitely not okay, and I do feel bad for him, and that's got to be tough. And Alex's dad is like, okay, great, well, I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to keep going here. I got more questions, and does he ever? Alex reveals to her family that he's a day trader and wants to get into crypto. Oh, brother. Oh, okay, hey. It's a caution flag. It's not really a red flag, but when I hear day trading, especially in Florida, South Florida, yeah, that's not like a career. And then they get into politics, and this is where Alex reveals something that angered me. He says, I didn't vote in the past election cycle, but I would have voted for Trump. And not only that, he said he's happy he won. Yeah, no thanks. Listen, I knew something was off about Alex, and this might have been it. You know what? My discernment was telling me something's not correct in his spirit, and I don't even hate to say it. That Cheeto in command is a terrible president. He's terrible. He's the worst of my lifetime, and I can't tell you enough how much he's made it harder for communities that I love. The Black community, the Latin community, the Asian community. Y'all know. No, that's not okay. And then I thought in my head, this all sort of tracks. It becomes the Alex and Ashley's dad show from that point onward, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure that Ashley's family also voted that way too. Should I be surprised because it's in Ohio? No. But it's just like, I have way too many friends in so many different communities for me to be happy about that. I was just at church, and I have a lot of my Haitian friends, they're worried day to day. Like, no, this is not okay. So the fact that they aired this, I mean, the producers knew what they were doing because they're getting a reaction like this out of me, and I'm getting flustered. Do we need to move on? I don't know. So Ashley's dad is ultimately not convinced with Alex. He wants the best for his daughter, but he doesn't believe Alex is being sincere. So I can't see that working out too much unless they really agree on politics. So we shall see. Let's move on to Mike and Emma. And I only have one takeaway, or maybe two from their conversation. One, they've got a dog in their bed. No, I'm not doing it. No. One, I'm asthmatic. Two, just no, dogs do not belong in the bed. No. But they both seem fine with it. And hey, if they like it, we love it. But Emma said, hey, if we're solid, I'll do everything I can to find a job in Columbus. What do you mean by that, Emma? If we're solid? And I think Mike clocked it too, because Mike was thinking, hey, if we're solid? This is interesting. We're engaged, but if is a choice of a word that I didn't think would come out of your mouth. So he's a little in doubt, I'd imagine. But then Mike reveals, Emma, I couldn't live with the possible future that entails you resenting me and our possible child if we were to start a family. Yep, at this point I wrote a note. I was like, they're done. They're gonna make it to the altar, but they're not gonna say yes. I think Emma says no, and then Mike would be okay with the no, because Mike would also say no, because they just can't agree on kids. So now it's time for episode 8, you guys. It's 19 days until weddings, and we've got some more house tours to do. Now, Jessica's visiting Chris's apartment, and Jessica loves his place. Jessica is in love with this man, y'all. Chris talks about the ice plunge once, twice, 3 times. She's not going to get in the ice plunge with you, bro. She just doesn't want to do it, and respect it. That's fine. Ice plunges aren't for everybody. But Jessica and Chris then have a very serious conversation on the couch where they both reaffirm each other's decision to not have kids in the future. In a way, though, I feel like they're not like 100% sold on that, though. So let's go to Jessica's house. And immediately I thought, wow, there are a lot of snake designs. What is this? House Slytherin? Did the sorting hat put you into that house, Jessica? And then you just decided to get a ton of snakes? I don't know. But Jessica said that she uses a heating pad to recover, and that she feels old. But listen, hey, old people, it's not reserved just for old people, Jessica. I use a heating pad to recover too, because when you're doing legs sometimes or back, you just get a little sore, right? So, hey. Anyway, that was about the extent of my takeaways for their house tour, because it was kind of boring. But let's get back to Alex and Ashley. Golly, these two. Well, Alex is telling Ashley that he doesn't want to get stuck in Cleveland, and he's thinking about going to Florida because he's got a soccer contract already lined up that he's not saying no to, basically. Ashley says, listen, I don't have ties to Florida. But then Alex mentions, hey, Florida matches with us politically. I'm sure it does, huh? I'm sure it does. But I am not one of the Floridians, of course, that aligns with these two, for the record. Alex then mentions his concerns. He's now nervous. He's not confident anymore. But he says, hey, I'm kind of concerned you're not as fluid as me, Ashley. But maybe y'all can both be fluid and end this. Anyway, Alex says that he's definitely a little nervous. So, hey, okay. Ashley then brings up, hey, we both had this mud bath date, and once we got back to the apartment, you ran off and I was left flustered and frustrated. Ashley's like, I'm in the mood. And Alex says, no, apparently, according to Ashley. But girl, I just don't think he likes you anymore. He saw Brittany one time, and that was it. Notice, after his one-on-one conversation with Brittany and Cabo, things been a little different. But Alex begins to sort of gaslight Ashley and tell her, hey, you got to let me know when you're done with your time of the month. And Ashley's like, what are you talking about? Ovulation starts after the menstrual cycle. And I'm like, oh, Alex, you didn't know that? Oh, guess that kind of tracks. Ashley says, and I quote, I am frustrated sexually. And Alex says, well, then why didn't you initiate anything? And at this point, they're annoying me. It's like the worst game of Pong I've ever seen play out in real life. Get a grip, you guys. Alex, you don't like Ashley anymore. Ashley, you're frustrated, but he doesn't want you anymore. It's obvious. So Ashley's annoyed and says, I need to leave the room. And she leaves the room. And it's at this point I'm thinking, wow, this batch of episodes is much messier than week 1. My goodness. But yes, Alex, I think, is a little weird, honestly, for not even like wanting to touch Ashley when she's on her period. Dude, this sounds like a very 18th century thing, bro. Like, you're not unclean if your fiance is on her period. What is this? I don't know, man. I just feel like Alex is very emotionally immature. So let's move on to Jordan meeting Amber's brother, and Amber's brother said, hey, I'm all for this and I hope it works out. It was a quick meeting, nothing wild. We learned that Jordan makes good burgers apparently. Okay, moving on. It's 18 days until weddings, you guys, and Vic and Christine, let's check in with them because after some mess, you gotta get into something good that you can trust, and that is a nice engagement, it seems like, between Victor and Christine. They go on this tour of grass sculpture pieces, and this is a very Vic-coded date. Like, he's a professor of public policy, he goes to the garden to sort of like relax, right? And then Christine's loving it too. So, dude, they're so sweet. And they both mentioned that they want to have a 2-year window before starting a family, maybe buying a home. I thought that was a very mature conversation, but it gets even more mature in a good way. They have a conversation about raising a biracial child and how they both would feel about that. I just feel like they're the only couple that actually is taking the time to discuss real world situations for them both. And I love it. That's why they need to get married, please. So now it's time for another family meeting, and that's Devontae meeting Brittany's parents, younger brother, and his wife. Now, Brittany said, I haven't brought a man home in this house for a decade. So that's a long time, 10 years, y'all. But the conversation over dinner is starting out incredibly wholesome. There's a lot of laughs. They're getting along really well. And Brittany's dad seems like a genuinely cool dude. I'm not going to lie. But Devontae says, listen, I only want to get married once. And then Brittany's parents were like, heck yeah. Love the sound of that. Because honestly, yeah, you want to marry one time, y'all. I get it. Now, Brittany's dad starts crying, talking about his mother who recently passed. And I don't know, something about this got me misty-eyed too. So after this amazing dinner conversation, it seems like Brittany's dad and Devontae go and have a one-on-one conversation upstairs. Now, Brittany's dad asked, hey, are there any reservations you have about Brittany when you get to that altar, or if you were to get to that altar? And Devontae said, I don't think I'd have any reservations. Ooh, you don't think? I think there are some reservations here. But Brittany's dad ultimately says, welcome to the family, Devontae, and it just seems so nice. Man, there are moments of levity in the midst of chaos this week for Love is Blind, and I'm here for it, honestly. So I say all that as we're getting into another Connor and Bree moment. Connor is meeting Bree's mom, and Connor is seeing Bree's house for the first time in this same segment. And Bree's house does look nice, admittedly, it does. But Bree has to continue laying into the fact that, hey, we just came from a frat house. Like, Bree, stop this. Just enough. Because Connor's most likely being very triggered in this moment. He's possibly insecure. I'm pretty sure his insecurities are coming to the surface. But just like, cut it out. Bree does mention that she needs more confidence in both her and Connor before bringing in her father. And those were the only takeaways because this entire conversation was very meh. I'm sitting here eating my Oreos and I'm like, this ain't going nowhere. So let's get into Emma meeting Mike's family. And if I didn't know any better, Mike's family is from New Jersey. Or they're maybe in New Jersey because they sound like New Jersey Italians. I'll be honest with you. They were one step away from a gabagool. You know what I mean? In a prosciutto. Now, Mike says in his testimonial that he's very nervous about whether Emma will fit in with his family. And then right after that, Mike's dad asks Emma, hey, are your past boyfriends Italian? And Emma says, funny you mentioned that. My ex-boyfriend was Italian. And they were all like, oh, okay. Now, Mike's parents seem skeptical. And this entire time, I think they're really looking out for Mike and his safety and his heart. Mike's dad now asks the children question. I knew it was going to come up, but Mike's dad says, hey, do you want children? And Emma says, I'm on the fence. And Emma's mom is just like, what was that? Mike's mom asks, Emma, how can you be on the fence if you're saying that Mike is the one you envision seeing at the altar and marrying? Which is like also a valid point too. So I see it from both sides, but it is just going to be something that I don't think they can overcome. Like Mike wants a family. Mike comes from a big Italian family. Being Italian myself, y'all, I get it, okay? But like, ooh, boy, it just doesn't feel like it's going to work. But Mike's dad gets emotional and says, if Emma were to be into the family, we'd welcome her with open arms. The spiel. But yeah, I think Mike's parents just ultimately want what's best for him. Now let's get into some drama to end episode 8 between Chris and Jessica. Alrighty now, y'all, stick with me because it's about to get crazy. Buckle up your seatbelt. Chris apparently went out the night before, and he looked like it, and stayed at his own place, but didn't communicate that to Jessica. Jessica reveals that Chris asked for a 13-hour break. 13-hour break? Mamma mia. That's crazy. Chris does say that, hey, I feel like I don't have to always communicate with you though, Jessica. Yeah, Chris, that's how you do it. You don't communicate with your fiance. 2 thumbs up, dude. Give me a break, bro. But Jessica said, listen, I just need to hear from you. You're my fiance. I said I love you, and you didn't say I love you back. Oh, reddest of flags. Boy, oh boy. But wait, it gets worse because Chris asks, hey, Jessica, do you feel we have a good physical connection? And she says, yes, I do. But he doesn't. Chris is beating around the bush, but he says, listen, I'm trying to get there with you physically, Jessica, but you're just not my type. You don't do CrossFit, Pilates, you're not climbing rock walls. Oh boy, oh boy. And then Chris says, listen, I just don't know if the physical attraction is there for me. You're basically calling her unfit, bro, in your eyes. That is just such a slap in the face. But let's get into episode 9 because, hey, you thought the conversation was done. No, it continues. Chris then reveals one of the craziest things this week and says, Jessica, I was actually thinking about what it would look like to be engaged to my number 2 option in the pods. And you know who his number 2 option was, ladies and gentlemen? Say it with me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bree. Oh my gosh. Oh my, for the streets. He's for the streets. At this point, Chris has, in my opinion, actively cheated on Jessica by thinking about Bree. Because I don't care what any of these men say. Cheating is not just having intercourse with somebody else or kissing another person. Cheating starts here and starts here, okay? And if you're thinking about it in your heart, cheater. Jessica then reveals, I need to go home, and we see a suitcase in her testimonial interview. She gone, y'all. I'm glad. You know what, Jessica? Good. Stand up for yourself. Chris is trash. He's terrible. Terrible. Is it good TV? Sure. But I feel bad for Jessica, you know? So our first breakup is Jessica and Chris back in Ohio. I think Jessica made the right choice, but Chris explains in his testimonial that Bree is someone he'd be more attracted to. Oh my. I am frustrated for Jessica. I said it already, I'll say it again, for the streets. You literally, you're making it plain as day. Hey, listen, we knew it. But like, really? Alrighty, so let's cool down, y'all, and let's switch gears to Bree and Connor. We check in on them, and Bree says one more time, Connor, you're such a frat dude. You're a frat guy. You have a frat house. Enough! But then Connor said, listen, sometimes you're like a little mean. And Bree got a little defensive about that, but yeah, Bree, that is a little mean now. It kind of feels like you're bullying him. And then they both get text messages. Bree gets one from Jessica. Connor gets one from Chris. And you know what they said. It's over. Or did they? So we've got 2 weeks until weddings, you guys, and Alex and Ashley are playing virtual golf. Well, hey, if they move to Florida, I guess they can go hang out with the Cheeto in command and play some golf at Mar-a-Lago. Gross. Then we check in on Vic and Christine, and Victor's going to Christine's hometown in Hillsboro, Ohio. They're like feeding horses, they're being so wholesome and genuine, having good conversations. Gosh, I love them. But what's going on with Amber and Jordan? Well, Amber's now meeting Jordan's family, and Jordan's mom brought her a gift, which is super sweet, like plants or something like that. Hey, it was nice, but it was a short family meeting, and it felt like nothing really happened. So those are the only notes I went with. Now, Devontae and Brittany do have another conversation, and remember when I said this wasn't going to be the only time we hear about their issues? Yeah, Brittany tells Devontae, listen, I'm still feeling like insecure in our relationship because you're not like showing me love. You're not commenting and telling me things like I'm a words of affirmation girly. And I get it. It's a love language, right? And Devontae is like, I am sorry, but when you tell me you need these things, it doesn't feel genuine on my end. Oh boy, we are at what they call an impasse, ladies and gentlemen. But you know, I feel like Devontae handled it well. Brittany handled it well. Brittany said, listen, I'm going to do my best not to project any insecurities I have from my past relationships on you. And Devontae says, I'm going to do better with my words and affirming you because I do love you and I do think you're beautiful. I'm like, whoa, that's how you do it. Okay. So it's 12 days now until our weddings. And oh, here we go. Chris and Connor have a conversation. Chris says Jessica doesn't want to do this anymore. Bruh, you're a liar. It's not that. It's you. You ended it. You basically ended it, bro. But I dare you. Do it, punk. Do it. Tell Connor you're attracted to Bree. But of course, Chris doesn't tell Connor the full story, but Connor said, give it a day or two and send Jessica a letter. Chris says, yeah, I want to send a letter, but not to Jessica. I want to send it to Bree. He's a little, and I can't even say rascal. That sounds too cute. He's just trash. Now it's time for Ashley to meet Alex's mom, and I'm so sorry, you guys, I'm not into this meeting at all. With any future Ashley-Alex moments, I mean, how could I really be locked in? I can't. I don't agree with Alex at all, in the slightest. And Ashley frustrates me because, I don't know, she just frustrates me at this point. It just feels like they're back and forth, they're not going to work out, and it's just, like, annoying. And yeah, the meeting was, like, whatever. It was kind of short, too. Do we care? No. But Mike meeting Emma's family was interesting. So Emma's sister says something that really surprised me. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know all of the context and the details for this statement. But they're on the topic of children. And Emma's sister says, listen, if I could do it again, I wouldn't have kids. Whew. I mean, dang. But then Mike says something out loud for the first time, even though we knew this. Mike says, I couldn't be married and not have kids. So I think things are surfacing that really show me that Mike and Emma, I just don't think it's going to work out. And a lot of things surface in this conversation. Emma reveals to her parents that I had a lot of mental roadblocks growing up due to the scars from the surgeries to get anything that was precancerous off of my body. And I can't imagine how much mental turmoil that she went through. But I do feel bad because Emma's parents said they didn't know. This was the first time they're hearing about this. At least that's how they reacted. And whew, that's rough. So this meeting felt less about Mike and Emma, but more so about Emma revealing things to her family that they didn't know about their daughter. So yeah, we go from one conversation to another, and that's Bree meeting Connor's family. And Connor brings up some stuff. The conversation's sort of just going in and out, and I'm thinking this is really not interesting, except for one moment where Connor says, I'm a blue-collar guy. And Connor's family says, blue-collar? But like, did he stutter? Or do you not know what blue-collar means? So I'll be honest, these family meetings haven't been so great outside of Victor meeting Christine's mom. But then we learn more about Alex. Ugh. Alex tells Ashley, I'm still friends with one of my exes. The one I met just before this show. Oh, really? Alex said he went to go visit her in Austin and they hooked up. You guys remember in Toy Story, Forky, where he goes, hi, I'm trash.
I'm trash.
Well, there's a couple contestants that fit that mold. Alrighty, so Alex then reveals he got a LinkedIn message to get recruited onto the show, but why are they recruiting him on LinkedIn? Like, did his bio really intrigue you? Like, day trader, crypto bro, like, really? Alrighty, so it's 11 days until weddings, you guys, and we've got the drama. A pod meetup / reunion takes place at a local bar, I'm guessing in Ohio, and Vic and Christine show up. A true reunion, finally. So sweet to see them together. And then Kia walks in the door. Oh, she came in confident. And then Kevin shows up. Or Kevin. No, it's Kevin. Kevin, sorry. Kevin shows up. It's the A in his name. It always trips me up. But Kevin shows up, and I said to myself, let the drama begin. But it wasn't between them. At least not yet. Bree said that she got a DM from Chris that said, oh yeah, call me. Gross. Ugh. Disgusting, Chris. You are nasty. But Bree shows it to Connor right away. And now I'm thinking, oh shoot. Okay, Bree's moved on from Cabo. Emma then says Chris bought followers on social media. And I do believe Emma when she says this because you can go into someone's followers list if it's public and you can see that if their followers are a majority of these bots, then they bought followers. But then it gets worse. Chris apparently went to a strip club after him and Jessica split up. Whoa, Chris. All right. Wow, that is something. Wow. Okay, well, there is one person that is definitely not a fan of Chris among the girls group, and that is Amber. Amber's laying into Chris with the girls and then to Chris's face. It's awesome. But then Chris shows up. The nerve of this guy. Mamma mia. But right after, Jessica shows up, and it was so funny because all the girls were like, oh, you look so good. What do you work out? Your body is tea. And I'm like, oh, I know what they're doing. And then Priyanka shows up, and Alex kind of side-eyes her, but not in like a weird kind of what are you doing here way. I was like, is he attracted to her? Because Alex gave Priyanka a nickname. I guess the nickname is Pri. And I'm like, what? And then Alex reveals, oh, she's actually been a part of my friend group for a while, but I didn't reveal that before coming on the show or anything or during the pods. And at this point, Chris is assuming the villain role. He's also probably 500 beers in, but he's saying out loud that Bree is so hot. And we know this because he went to go use the restroom and his mic was still hot. And he said, Bree is so hot. What is Connor even going to do? Beat me up if I try to talk to her? He's so gross. Bro, Chris is like so terrible. He's not even a good friend. Like, I'm side-eyeing the guys who think he's amazing. And I thought it was so funny when Jordan, Amber, and Chris are having a conversation, and Amber says that she hates Chris a little bit. Jordan's like, no, you don't mean that. She said what she said, and she's standing on business, and I'm happy for that. And I love that Amber left the conversation, but not before saying, what, you think you're going to get another hot doctor? Drag him. Drag him. Amber's a girl's girl. I'll say that much. But then Chris yells out loud that the things that he did with Jessica, it was the worst he's ever had. And I feel so bad for Jessica. Like, what? She didn't deserve any of this, dude. Then Chris, in the same conversation that he's having with Bree, Priyanka, and Ashley, said that they should do something together. Ugh. Gross, bro. Nasty, dude. I can't stand this guy, man. My gosh. And why are they even talking to him? Let him be. Like, let him just kind of sulk in the corner or something. But Bree and Chris end up having a one-on-one conversation. I'm guessing set up by the producers. But I'm going to be honest, y'all. If I'm Connor and I see Bree talking to that man, we are having an exchange of words. I'm getting in there and I'm taking my fiance out of the conversation. And if he tries anything, dog, listen, I am saved. But I love, I will love my partner so much. Like, my fiance, like, ain't gonna be in that conversation. And in this one-on-one conversation, Chris says Connor's too submissive. And Chris said to Bree that he messed up by not being with her. So Chris is trying to be a homewrecker. I mean, he might as well get his own HGTV show and wreck some homes. You know what I mean? This dude even asked Bree, hey, is what you do, like, the stuff you've done with Connor, is like the best you've ever had? And Bree said, well, I don't think it's the best I've ever had, but it's still very good. And Chris is like, I only give the best to my fiance. Like, ugh. And then Chris says something that really frustrated me. And he told Bree that he doesn't think Bree and Connor are going to get married and that she needs someone more dominant. And it's at this point where it's like the conversation is going on too long. Connor, step in. I know that's not his personality, but bro, you got a mustache now. Step in there, twirl it a little and be like, what do we got over here? And just like take your fiance out of that conversation. I don't know. I don't think Bree needs saving in that regard. She can stick up for herself. I'm fully confident of that. But this is so disrespectful. Like, I don't know. When this gets watched back, that reunion is going to be spicy. That's all I have to say. And that is all she wrote for week 2 of Love is Blind season 10. Episodes 7, 8, and 9 were very good TV. I won't lie to you. Now, there were some moments where the family meetings I was checked out because, of course, things were revealed. And I thought to myself, I don't care anymore about this couple. But overall, I thought this week was much better than week 1. Was it messier? Absolutely. Was it more engaging? Yes. Was the pacing better? 100 times better. But I think it's because we're getting 3 episodes here versus 6 in week 1. And I think that's why maybe Netflix should consider splitting up the weeks a bit better and maybe doing 3 episodes a week. That could be good. Sure. Does the season last longer? Yeah. But it might actually keep things more fresh. Let me know what you guys think about this week, though. And did it really work for you in the comments below? And also, subscribe to the channel if you've stayed to this point, because as of now, with a raw recording file, it's like 58 minutes, and I had things to say, and thank you for letting me say them. And I'm curious to hear if you agree or disagree. And y'all like this video for more Love is Blind fans so that they can see it and that we can all be in community together. And let me tell you, week 3, oh yeah, we're back. Week 3, I'm coming back strong. I've been strong, though, glory to God. But trust me, week 3 is going to be a good one, I think. Hopefully, maybe. Netflix, I'll watch the episodes when you send them. Thank you. Alrighty, y'all. Well, that's all I got. Week 2 in the books. Man, what a messy week, y'all. So again, thanks for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.